Hi, this is Heidi from Garden Crossings, and I am out in the butterfly house right now, and I want to kind of show you what it's looking like here at the beginning of July. So things are like really filling out. This butterfly house is pretty warm. We have side curtains, and then the whole top is covered with plastic. So one thing we are finding is that I think we really should probably not have plastic on this space. It's kind of a trial year for us. But one thing we're finding is that it gets really hot and humid in here, which is okay, but that's also leading to some issues with different bugs and stuff. So spider mite and thrip are things that are just really kind of taking over some of these plants. So we're gonna go through here today and kind of, unfortunately, pull out, starting with some of these annuals, and then we're kind of going to go perennial by perennial and just kind of decide what needs to be done with each of the perennials. So because there are butterflies in here, chrysalises, eggs, caterpillars, we can't use any chemicals of any sort because obviously that would not be good for the butterflies and the caterpillars. So we're going to try to just weed things out, get rid of some of the plants that are really susceptible to the spider mite and the thrip, and see how that goes. Ladybugs, introducing ladybugs in here. We had thought maybe that would be an okay idea. We haven't done it, but then we got to thinking ladybugs, they're gonna also eat the eggs and perhaps the small caterpillars. So that's not gonna be a good biological solution. So what we need to do is find a good biological solution that we can bring in here for the thrip and the spider mite that won't be an issue for our caterpillars and the eggs. So let's take a look and start and see kind of what we have blooming in here right now. So we have the meteor showers verbena. This is a great butterfly plant, and we can see over there there's a monarch really enjoying it right now. There's a lot of Asclepias in here because that is the host plant for the monarchs, and so we're finding a lot of caterpillars and eggs on that Asclepias, which is perfect. That's just what we want. We've got some beautiful butterfly bushes. Miss Molly, Miss Violet in the back there, the white one is Miss Pearl, and those are a great pollen source for the butterflies. We also have this beautiful coneflower. This is Echinacea coral craze, and that one we've been really impressed with this year. We got some Nepeta there down on the ground, some more butterfly weed, milkweed, and I'm going to go in and show you what we're talking about. So you can tell this plant just doesn't look good. And look at those leaves. That is just covered in spider mite and thrip. So that plant, although it's okay for the butterflies and stuff, it looks nasty. Here's a good example of what spider mite is. If you can see that webbing going on, if you have that on any of your plants, that would be a sure tell sign of spider mite. So you can use neem oils and such on there, but again, you can't use neem oils with the butterflies and the caterpillars. So that kind of creates a problem. Our aquapot, it looks like it got windy in here because this Pennisetum skyrocket grass, or fireworks, it just totally biffed it over. So that plant got really tall. Beautiful plumes on it, but must have got windy and that got knocked over. So we'll trim that back, it'll pop right back up again. There's beautiful caladiums in there and some lantana. In the back there is a gorgeous phlox. Some of the Cleome Senorita, Rosalita. And there's a lot of butterflies back there on the shade cloth. So there was a path between here. We trimmed it back. And again, this is filled in and we can't get through the path again. So we're gonna take another way back into that little corner, and maybe not. So I guess I can't get into that little corner, but we'll see if we can walk this way. Yeah, so you can kind of see there's a little place where we could go in and see those plants, but we can't get to it. So there's a lot of butterflies hanging out right here. Actually, I see one that just emerged from a chrysalis. I'm going to zoom in a minute. So I can tell that one just emerged because I can see the chrysalis hanging from that plant. And it's just kind of dangling there, drying in the heat. There's some more butterflies along the curtain there. We've got some yarrow, which is the orangey yellow plant. Salvia, Rockin' Fuchsia. We have a beautiful Be My Caladium in here. Along the back wall, we've got some hollyhock, some lantana in front of it. Now these are allium serendipity, and spider mite is typically not a problem for this plant, but being in here where spider mite is running just crazy, look at the webbing on that. That is so disgusting. So those will have to get trimmed back, and we'll see once how they reflush. Agastache blue boa, Pugster blue butterfly bush. Got some cone flowers and some tall phlox back in there. The white is the Lobularia snow princess. Pugster pinker is the pink one there. Got some sedum. And on this path here, there's a lot of annuals, a lot of petunias and such. Butterfly bush tucked in there. There's another one of the Rockin' Fuchsia salvias. Monarda. This Monarda has been blooming kind of off and on. It's so beautiful. Salvia unplugged. Some more lantana and Monarda. We're gonna definitely rip out the dill and the fennel. We didn't get any black swallowtails this year, and that's why we had this planted. And these plants are just so huge and cracking open, and they are ugly. So we're gonna get rid of the dill and fennel now because we don't need it. We got some more cone flowers tucked along this path here. Monarda. In the back little corner, another nice little cluster of cone flowers and Pugster butterfly bush. Got some great hello yellow specimens of the milkweed. Head across the aisle here and take a look. More of the white milkweed. I think this is called like Milkman or Milkshake. The truffle pink is doing nice now. Finally growing, and it's surrounded by the I think it's Ruala. It's a Mexican petunia. Another milkweed there, hello yellow. Some lantana and cone flowers. Giant sedum. And here the truffle pink Gomphrena finally grew on the path here and really filled it out nicely. So Gomphrena is another great plant for the butterflies. You can see that path has been kind of taken over by it now. In this aquapot, we've got cannas, Wicked Witch coleus, Kufia vermillionaire, some lantana, and Creeping Jenny. A lot of butterfly milkweed in there, some yellow yarrow, some verbena, salvia, veronica, more petunias. The petunias really add a lot of color to this garden in mass, so we're gonna miss not having the petunias in here because that's just where you really see like really bold splashes of color. Raspberry Rush is the petunia we have here. Some verbena meteor showers, a lot of meteor showers in the garden, as well as a lot of the Pugster butterfly bushes. Up against the wall there, some hollyhocks. Hollyhocks always seem to be a good addition to a butterfly garden. So everything we planted in here has butterfly in mind, either a host plant or a nectar source. So any plants that you're seeing here in this garden are something that if you want to create a butterfly oasis in your yard, these are all plants that would attract or host butterflies. We've got our beautiful tropical milkweed that's done excellent. And it's huge. It's a really large plant. The Salvia Fuchsia, look how big that thing got. That'll probably get torn out now because it's starting to crack open. But this used to be a pretty good sized walkway, and you can just see how these plants have really matured and just really exploded in this garden. So we overplanted not knowing, you know, what things would do, and now we know what things will do. And so we know next year we don't need to do so much of the overplanting. And we're also able to tell too what plants maybe we want to go more of and what plants we want to go less of. So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to have the landscaper come in and go through the garden, do a little eliminating and cleaning up. So hopefully we can kind of clear up some of our thrip and spider mite issue out here in this greenhouse location. All the while making sure that every plant before it gets dumped, we are looking for chrysalises, and we're not going to touch the milkweed, so we don't have to worry about caterpillars and eggs. But we really want to make for sure that we're checking all the plants before we dump them for any chrysalises that the monarchs may have formed inside the foliage. So we'll take another walk through the butterfly house in about a month. We'll see once after things get trimmed out what it looks like and the progress. I think this is a learning experience for us, and we're learning what's working, what's not working. The butterflies, we've been happy with the amount of butterflies that we've had. At one time we had about 35 butterflies, so we were really happy with that because we didn't want to overpopulate, especially in the first year with not knowing what we were doing. So we were happy when we had those 35 or so emerging. Right now there's probably about 15 or so, 20 possibly in here. So again, it's what we were hoping for this first year, and we look forward to continuing to learn new things as we're going to do some trimming and watching things reflush and taking you along on the journey so that you too can learn what may or may not work in your garden, as well as if you're seeing things going on in your garden and you're like, what's wrong with my plants? Hopefully this will be educational for you as well to know, if you see, like I showed you earlier on the plant that was having the spider mite, that's what spider mite is. So thank you for watching, and we'll be touring through here again soon. This is Heidi from Garden Crossings. So as a follow-up to the video that I did this morning, I want to show you the butterfly house now this afternoon. So the gales came through and removed most of the annuals out of this space, just to try to kind of help with that thrip and spider mite issue. So I want to just take you for a quick little walk through and show you what it looks like now that all the annuals are out. There's still, not all, but most of the annuals are out. There's still a lot of color, which I was a little nervous. I didn't know how much color was going to be in here. But so the annuals we left the verbena meteor showers because I know that's like a definite must-have or great to have plant in here for those butterflies. We kept the pot all planted up and got the grasses kind of perked back up again. Some more meteor showers back there, but if you remember from earlier in the video, all that cleome's gone. So now you can see the path that was hidden before. This is a lot cleared out, just a lot better. So it's definitely a step in just letting these plants breathe a little bit and having some space between them. So as I'm walking through here, so far the only annuals I'm seeing is verbena meteor showers that's been left behind. Actually here it looks like there's a couple lantana, because the lantana were looking pretty clean. But there's still plenty of color with the coneflowers and the monarda. Here's the salvia that was left. That looks good yet. This area really got cleared out. It was so packed full of stuff. So we cleaned this all out and this stuff will all reflush. So that's kind of the goal now at this point, that a lot of the plants have been removed, is that we can come through and try to control a little bit better the spider mite issue that's going on. Over here, really cleared out as well. It's really warm in here right now, so the butterflies are kind of hugging the edges, although there's been a lot of activity. We've been watching some of the females laying eggs this afternoon, so that's been kind of fun as they'll head over from one plant to the next and just deposit the little eggs. So lantana, again, more of the verbena meteor showers. Here's one of the, oh, you just saw them fly away. One of the monarchs. So yeah, so I'm still pleased with the amount of color that we're seeing. Still a lot of beautiful things. We left the island for now because that's really the only splash of like consistent bold color. And I think we'll have to kind of watch how those plants are doing. We might end up pulling that the circle part out as well. But for now, that's staying for lots of color. So yeah, things definitely look different than what they did earlier in the video. I mean, if you remember earlier, this path, I could hardly even get through it. I think too, one thing when we were planting this up, we really didn't know how fast these plants would grow. I mean, obviously they're in a tropical environment, so they're gonna grow quickly because it's warm. But most all of these perennials, they were planted from just a small little quart plant when we started this spring. So we didn't know how big they'd get. But most of them are like a full-size perennial now. So that's quite cool to see that they've been able to really fill out and look full right away here in this first year. So we'll continue to give you progress updates as to what we're going to do next in this space. But for now, most annuals have been removed, and we'll see how everything progresses.